Coming to you from the beautiful Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia. Just back from a SOTU, which was a great conference, high energy. Many thanks to Paul and Kyle and all the whole team for doing such a great job. I wanted to start today by reintroducing myself for some of you who don't know me. I'm a former dealership owner for 30 years. Subsequent to that, I started my own consulting business, which is Better Vantage Point. And what I do is, you may see these great bookends that were given to me by Rachel Blatt. Thank you, Rachel. I use the analogy that running a dealership or running a business is like trying to tuck an octopus into bed, and the tentacles keep flopping out all over the place. So that's why I have a website called Tuck the Octopus. But what I do is I help businesses, startups, tech companies, and dealerships try to make sure that we tuck the tentacles in through compliance and through the use of insurance to make sure that we're safeguarding your assets. That's what's governance, risk, and compliance. You'll see at the bottom of the screen, it says GRC Consulting. That stands for governance, risk, and compliance. And I do that by going through your organization with a fine-tooth comb, finding the problems that you may or may not know that exist, and giving you solutions for them. So it's important that when I present a problem, I give you a solution, and that's what I do. So I also do expert witness work for dealerships when it comes to the litigation, and I can also help solve those problems. So I have two service marks with the U.S. Patent Office. One is navigating risk and solving problems, which is exactly what I just discussed with you. And the other is we get you out of trouble and keep you out of trouble. So that gives you a little bit of a synopsis about who I am and what I do. A lot of the broadcast has been to tell you about current events. There have been so many current events that relate to governance, risk, and compliance. I like to talk about them so that everyone understands what it is that's going on, because I think it's important that as you recognize what's going on, you're able to use that information, look at your own organization, and see how you are complying and working on those regulations. So I've got three that I want to talk about today. The first is a press release from the EEOC, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, and it talks about the EEOC suing Len Stoler Incorporated for disability discrimination. Now, Len Stoler, if you don't know, is a dealership in Baltimore, and they violated the American with Disabilities Act because they employed a service advisor who sustained a traumatic brain injury. And when she came back, according to the laws of the land, the American with Disabilities Act, they're required to put her in a position as to not disadvantage her. And they did just that. They demoted her because of her disabilities. She asked to be able to park close to the dealership because of her disabilities. They denied that. These are according to the allegations in the press release that was given by the EEOC. Of course, I don't have Len Stoler's perspective on this, but the employee was ready to go back to work as a service advisor. They demoted her to a cashier, and this particular service advisor sued because the ADA prohibits discrimination on the basis of a disability. So this also went on. It appears, based on the press release, that Len Stoler was given the opportunity to make it right through the conciliation process, of which the EEOC has. They have a mediation process, which I've been through on multiple occasions, and that gives you the opportunity to kind of air your opinion and to try to come up with a solution or a resolution. And it appears they attempted to do that first, but they didn't come to a resolution. And so this is what happened when Len Stoler didn't fix the problem. The second thing, from September 21st from Automotive News. So a dealership ended up firing an employee because they made a, quote, hateful remark to the UAW. Now, this is particularly interesting to me because the National Labor Relations Board recently came out with new guidance, and they said that a dealership or a business is not allowed to tell their employees what they can and cannot do on social media. So you have to weigh the risk, and this is where the risk part comes in. You have to weigh the risk of whether you're going to tell the employees what they can and can't say on social media against things like the National Labor Relations Board, which can regulate businesses. In this particular case, the Detroit area dealership, which happened to belong to Lithia, Lithia fired the employee for posting a quote that's posting on Facebook, I believe it was, for how the UAW wanted to be to work for 32 hours but get paid for 40. And this particular employee wrote, quote, "I work for a Ford dealership, so depending on how bad it gets, this could affect me." In a third comment, they wrote an expletive and said, "blank the UAW." And so this employee got fired. And the dealership then apologized publicly and said that they don't support, they support the UAW's right to strike. But I think it's very interesting about whether you choose to have a policy that will prohibit employees from saying negative things on social media. On the other side, you've got the NLRB, the National Labor Relations Board, saying you can't do that because it has a, quote, chilling effect on what employees can and cannot say, and they don't like that. So that'll be a risk that you'll have to talk about at your stores and determine whether that is something and how you want to handle that. And then lastly, we have another article from Automotive News about a New Mexico dealership was on the hook for $87,000 in compensatory damages and $2.5 million in punitive damages. Now, punitive damages, for those of you who don't know, are meant to punish, comes from the Latin word, whatever that is, to punish dealerships. So in this particular case, a dealer had a customer who spotted the car to the customer. They had two trade-ins. Because of the amount of negative equity, it took the dealership months to get the deal done, and they didn't pay off the loan in the meantime. It was specifically the store missed two payments. The customer's credit score dropped 126 points, and as a result, the customer had a consolidation loan denied, got a credit limit decreased on one of his credit cards, and ended up having to cancel his plans to move. So you were able to see the cascading damages resulting from the dealership not getting this deal done for 2 months and the resulting damages. Now, this went on for years. And this brings up the question of, when should a car dealership go to court? I've been to court hundreds of times myself in various capacities. Also, as I mentioned earlier, I do expert witness work. And I can tell you that car dealers, when they go to court, it's not positive. Judges are not inclined to rule in favor of a car dealer over a consumer. I'm happy to discuss this with you in private. If you have a situation, please feel free to reach out. But I would question on this particular one. Number one, this doesn't include, by the way, the 87,000 plus the 2.5 million doesn't include the dealership's defense costs, which I would imagine were in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. So, and I do not know the dealer here. I've not spoken to the dealer, but I can imagine that they said, this isn't right and I'm going to fight it. And this is what they get. And so it's hard to know also, this is on the risk side, right, of whether their insurance, whether the dealership had insurance to cover this. I would imagine the answer is no, because the insurance company would have stepped in and would have settled this. To go to court over something like this and argue for 2 years when you were wrong, the dealership was wrong in taking 2 months to make the loan payments. They were likely wrong in spotting a deal with this much negative equity. Haven't seen the deal, don't know, but you can think through this and think that this probably wasn't a great business decision, and the dealership's probably regretting this. And again, whether there was an insurance here or not, I don't know. This is an insurable issue. There are some policies which cover it. And if you have a specific question, again, reach out to me. I'm happy to talk about it. These are 3 instances where a robust governance and risk program, along with compliance, is very helpful for a dealership to make sure that when these what if things happen, that you have a way to go, you have a policy, a procedure, a plan, and you can implement it because you know how to handle it. So consider that. A lot of dealers that I've talked to, I'll just say they have what I call a case of the yets, which is it hasn't happened to me yet, and so therefore it's not a problem yet. I would think there's a better way to do it, which is why I'm a risk and compliance consultant. So that's what I have today. If you have any questions, please feel to reach out. My email address is tomk@bettervantagepoint.com. You can reach me, of course, on my cell phone, 757-434-7656, 757-434-7656, or website is bettervantagepoint.com, and there's forms to fill out. You can connect with me by video, which comes directly to my cell phone, and I'm happy to answer your questions without running the meter. If you have any problems whatsoever you're facing, challenges, let me know. When you call, again, the meter won't run. Happy to get your call. If I don't know the answer, I probably know someone who does know the answer. And so that's what I have today. So I am Tom Kline, and thanks for seeing things from a better vantage point. Have a great day.